What if creepers could do redstone? These are the sorts of thoughts that go through my head on a regular basis. I can't stop them. I can't stop thinking about them when they arrive, and then eventually I just have to try and work it out for myself. If I was a creeper who possessed the ability to place down redstone components and actually create my own redstone contraptions, what would I do with this? What would I actually do? I guess we're about to find out. We're also about to find out if this actually works. Nope. Let's see if it works now. It did. It didn't really do very much, did it? So my area was obviously considerably too large, but now that I'm floating around and actually doing this is far faster than removing the trees manually. I've been doing it wrong my entire life. So our space is now completely cleared. It's time for the part that I absolutely despise, which is the designing element. I mean, I feel like creepers are pretty narcissistic, so I feel like they definitely would have their face on the front of the build. I mean, they put their face in the middle of the A in the word Minecraft. I feel like they'd definitely put their face on their base. Some serious building later. This is where I'm at. We've got a creeper face that has been slightly modified so that it doesn't look very 2012. And we have some ruinage going on. We've got a staircase going up into the mouth. I think this is a pretty solid start. But I would say one thing that we definitely do need is a tiny bit more terraforming around the front. I would say something like this will definitely do. The focus of today's video is all about the redstone, not necessarily about the building. But I have to say, I'm actually pretty happy with this thing. I didn't love it when I first started building it. It all looked a bit awkward. But now that I've actually got some of the details in place, I think it looks really quite cool. So let's start filling it with some redstone. And I've just had an absolutely ridiculous idea, which does mean we're going to have to change up the design a tiny bit, but I actually think it could end up still looking quite cool. It does still look quite cool. So here is the plan. Creepers would not use piston doors. Yeah, I can't imagine a creeper activating a piston door. It just doesn't make sense to me. Creepers will, of course, use explosions to open their doors. Now, the reason that I switched out all of that blackstone for basalt is because we can actually create basalt generators, which means when we explode the door, we can replenish the door, making use of a basalt generator underneath the ground. I personally think this is a fantastic idea. So, first things first, let's see how much damage this TNT does. I probably should have backed things up before doing this, shouldn't I? Oh, wow. Oh, it's actually blown... That's blown a lot more of the creeper's mouth off than I was expecting, to be quite frankly honest with you. What happens if you only use one piece of TNT? Is that significantly better? Man! It still does a lot of damage, doesn't it? What if we have one piece of TNT that is also slightly further away? I reckon we could be onto a winner with this one. What on earth is this TNT made of? That did more damage. I guess we're going to have to work around it. Right, I'm hoping my idea for a basalt generator is actually going to work. I have not built a basalt generator in a very long time, but this seems to function. So then underneath this soul sand here, I've got myself some pistons. They'll push the basalt up, and then it will be pushed across. And then from there, it will be pushed further upwards to create our piston door. Now, obviously, that is all very much in theory, but I have high hopes that it is actually going to function. And it does. It's just, these basalt generators are actually way faster than I expected them to be. So I've sped up my redstone clock a tiny bit, and now it is working at the correct sort of speed. So now I just need to add in a redstone circuit that will turn off the basalt generator for a certain length of time, allowing the door to stay open for a little bit after it's been exploded, and then eventually the basalt generator will turn back on, closing it up. So imagine this is like a pulse extender that holds your door open for a certain length of time, except instead of pistons, we've got explosions and then regenerations. 100% creeper style. And I tell you what, this redstone is 100% Mumbo style because it is a mess. It is just horrendous to even try and get around. But with that being said, there is a very small chance that it is actually now working. As I say, incredibly small chance, and that's always slightly concerning when you're working with TNT, because normally when TNT goes wrong, it goes very wrong. But this is good. So our door is opened up, everything has exploded, and currently no basalt is being generated. And now everything's closing up. Alright, okay, that's pretty fancy, isn't it? So I hit this button right here. Now it takes a little while, but that's of course because we have to deal with the ignition sequence of the TNT, but that's not too bad. That is not bad at all. And then the door stays open for a decent length of time, so you can make your way through and make sure that you get inside, and then eventually everything closes. This is so silly. But it's also incredibly, incredibly cool. Also, am I going crazy? But have creepers' faces always looked like this? I feel like the mouth used to be a lot more defined than it currently is. Now it's like a small bit that's completely pitch black and then the rest is kind of smudged in. I'm not saying it looks bad. I'm not saying it looks bad at all. But it actually means that my temple here is a little bit more accurate than I was expecting. On the topic of the temple, we should keep working on it. And I've had this incredibly stupid idea. Okay, I'm well aware that it's stupid, but when it comes to the storage system, I feel like a creeper wouldn't just have a regular storage system. They would have a storage system that explodes. Yep, we're going to create an exploding storage system here. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely certain how at this point in time. Like, you know, I have a rough idea, but I don't know if it's going to actually work. I'm having to ask myself questions that I've never had to ask before, and I'm having to solve redstone problems that I've never had to solve before. We're definitely on shaky ground, but I do have high hopes, and I'm curious to see if the first of my high hopes is actually going to work. So we can place a shulker box in here, hit this button, and it did actually get dispensed. So it makes its way over to the dispenser, and it pops out. Okay, this is good. So here is the idea. Okay, this is the item input. So we can put items into the shulker boxes using these chests right here, but we can't actually access the shulker boxes. To get access to them, we have to explode them. When they explode, they will make their way down into this chest right here. We can then grab them, take them out, grab the items out of them, and then when we're done with the shulker boxes, we can put them back in by chucking them into these droppers and then hitting the button, and they will be redispensed into the system, ready to be exploded again when we need access to them. As I said earlier on, this is stupid. But if you clicked on a video that was titled "What if creepers could do redstone" and weren't expecting it to be stupid, then honestly I don't know what to say to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13... If we stretch this out to 15, then we can do something smart. Now, I know this looks like a big old mess of redstone. It looks like there's absolutely no logic to this thing, but because this platform is 15 blocks long, it means that each one of these redstone lines is actually separate from one another. Because when we hit one of the buttons at the end over there, we power one piece of redstone dust at a 15 signal strength, and obviously that trickles down. And because this line is 15 blocks long, it means that the only piece of redstone dust at this end that will actually get powered is the one that lines up with the button that we pressed at the other end. It's always a very useful tool to have in your redstone toolkit, especially for situations like this one. As always, with everything to do with TNT, this could go absolutely horribly wrong. But let's see. I should have activated a piece of TNT. And it sounds like I have, but then it sounds like there's more TNT dropping. Why oh, everything's broken behind the obsidian. That isn't really what I planned. Thankfully, this is what backups are made for. So with a slight modification made to the redstone, I think we could be onto a winner. At least I'm really, really hoping that we're onto a winner here. I mean, okay, so there was an explosion. Nothing broke shulker box wise, but also nothing broke redstone wise, so I guess that's a win. More adjustments have been made, and it actually just exploded the system. That's not good. I'm starting to think that this could potentially just not work, but after a lot of experimentation, I think I've actually managed to do it. I've managed to create a reliable exploding storage system, which is something that nobody ever asked for. But as you can probably tell, it has me very excited. So if I just hit this button right here, I want to gain access to some of the shulker boxes in this area. Not entirely sure which ones. Okay, there's no predicting it. But as you can see, that has worked. We have blown up the shulker boxes, and I can now grab them from this chest right here. I can do whatever I want with them. I can take items from them, whatever. And then if I just chuck them into these droppers here, you can see that we can start sending them back into the system. So that goes in there. This one goes back in over here. I mean, I don't know what the use case is of this system. I really don't. But I think the creepers would like it. This is how I imagine creepers would interface with their storage systems. It's so ridiculously stupid, isn't it? Okay, so we have an exploding door and we have an exploding storage system. What comes next? I would say a super smelter. I would say these creepers could really do with some form of super smelter system, so I'm just installing one right here. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? I mean, the only issue that I have with these super smelters is you never quite know when they're finished. I guess we could use, you know, a lamp indicator, or perhaps some note blocks, or we could do some exploding. Yeah, we could do a little bit more exploding. So I've created this system right here that when items stop flowing out from the super smelters, Then we'll get ourselves a redstone output through this monostable circuit here. And then I'm going to run that out into a redstone clock, and we're just going to get a barrage of explosions. That, I'll be honest, could totally destroy our base. So remind me to back things up before I do this. So let's first do a test of the TNT system. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Nice, that's actually worked really, really well. So now if we do a full test of the system, let's see how well this works. Alright, so things are going to start getting smelted. When the first item goes through, that should activate this pulse extender. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Did not plan for this. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of TNT. We're going to have a lot of TNT. Not good, not good, not good, not good. Trying to do redstone in this situation is definitely suboptimal. Right, I need to add another pulse extender. The pulse coming into our pulse extender was too short. Goodness gracious me, it never ends. It never ends. This should do the trick. I think we've done it. Let's try that again. So as I say, you know, some of the items from this smelter right here will travel through the hoppers, and they will activate our pulse extender, and that should stay powered for long enough so that when the next item comes through, yes, it just kind of bumps up the pulse extender and keeps it powered. Now, the items are about to be finished smelting in our furnace, so after a short delay, aka this pulse extender depowering, that is when our alarm will go off. So just give it a second. Obviously, it is quite a long pulse extender. It's the length of time it takes for one item to smelt. So there is a small amount of delay. But there we go. Our alarm has been set off. And yeah, you're definitely going to know when your smelting has been completed. Fantastic. I would say that is one super smelter all done and dusted. Now, I thought this would be a good time to do a tiny bit of decorating. It's very dungeony because I feel like creepers would live in an area that looks exactly like this. For the next section of this build, I'm going to create an ammo resupply area for the creepers. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure how the internals of a creeper actually function, but I imagine they have to be fueled somewhat with gunpowder or beans, actually, because, you know, I feel like I'm going to explode if I eat lots of beans. So that could be part of it. We will have 2 stages to this resupply. 1 set of gunpowder, 1 set of beans. That should cover all bases. I can't believe I'm committing to this fart joke, but here we are. Now, I'm hoping when I press this button, I should get 1 full stack of gunpowder and 1 full stack of beans. That's annoying, but I'm going to ignore it. Right, here we go. This is seeming good. That felt like a stack. And it was. There we go, explosion power. Now, what do I have planned for the section behind me? Well, you might notice that currently there is no way to exit this place. We are trapped inside. Now, in my opinion, there is only one way that a creeper should exit its little creeper dungeon, and that is, of course, via explosions. I mean, if you didn't see that coming at this point in the video, then honestly, I feel a bit sorry for you. All we need to do is create a little redstone system that looks a tiny bit like this. Chuck some water underneath this fence post and then connect up all of these dispensers to some form of redstone input, and we have got ourselves arguably one of the oldest but most satisfying and enjoyable redstone contraptions in Minecraft. Now let's see, it has been many years since I've constructed one of these things. But they are still, why is that still so fun? Why could I do that all day long? You know? I don't know why. I'm literally launching myself into the sky in a virtual video game, and yet it feels so satisfying. So I think it's time for a quick recap. In a world where creepers can do redstone, this is the base that they've decided to create, and the way that they get into their base is via an exploding door. I mean, that straight away is already incredibly satisfying. So that's all exploded, and then eventually it will close up behind me because we have a basalt generator that is going to regenerate all of the basalt that was just completely destroyed. We have a storage system that relies on explosions to be able to get access to the resources. So for example, if I want to get, you know, a selection of shulker boxes from this area right here, then I just press the button, and as you can see, those shulker boxes make their way into the chest, so I can pick those up, do whatever I want with them, and then when I want to put them back into the system, I just have to chuck them into these droppers up at the top, and then hit the buttons and all of them will be redispensed, ready to be blown up once again. And of course, if I want to put items into the shulker boxes without having to explode them, then I can place those items inside these chests right here and they will make their way into the shulker boxes. We've got a set of super smelters that let us know they finish smelting by creating a cataclysmic explosion. A repeating cataclysmic explosion. Just imagine if your alarm clock was powered by gunpowder, that sort of explosion. We have got an explosion refueling area for any creepers who are inside this dungeon area here and need to stock up with the things that cause them to explode. So of course we've got gunpowder, that's necessary, but most importantly as well, we've got beans. I think this is the most fart jokes I've ever made in a single Minecraft video. And then finally, when our creeper wants to leave the creeper temple, well, I mean, we do that once again, making use of explosions. A set of explosions that launch us out into the Minecraft terrain. I mean, I don't know how well you would fare from this. You know, it seems like quite a long way to fall, but we'll completely ignore that. So there we go. That is my creeper temple. That is my interpretation of creepers doing redstone. I hope that you found it enjoyable, and I will catch you in the next video. See ya. And I guess now comes the question, what mob should I do next, if any? You know, maybe everyone hated this and didn't find it enjoyable at all, but I've already done zombies, I've done creepers, I guess in my head, skeletons, but they're not quite as interesting. Cats, dogs, I could go the friendly route. I mean, dogs would be interesting.